Hello, hello. Welcome to another Industry Workshop stream. Today, as usual, we have Alex Heat
What's up?
and we got Emily Rinna. Am I saying that correctly? Rinna?
Yeah, it's all right.
All
Hi.
right.
How is everyone this fine evening?
Mine is good. Mine is good. Had a very slow, long, and unproductive day of not getting a lot of stuff done, but it's all part of it. How about you guys?
How was your day, Emily?
Yeah, it was okay. A bit tough, but it was okay. Work.
Excellent. Yeah, I had a pretty good day. Not so bad. Horrible cycle home in the rain. Standard.
That's the UK for you.
Yeah, about 10 cups of tea, so feeling pretty sick.
10 cups? Is that serious? Do you drink 10 cups of tea?
I drink a lot of tea. Yeah, it's probably not quite 10, but I'm probably on 6 or 7 at the moment.
Wow, that's a lot of tea.
Yeah. Bit too much.
Let's just start with going over Emily's website, because I got it open here. Or Alex, you can browse through it as well, or Emily yourself. Who wants to have the control over the browsing?
Let me do it.
Yeah.
ArtStation.
No, I think her website is cooler, right?
Yeah, almost nothing on ArtStation because I'm updating everything. So yeah, sorry, sorry for that.
Yeah, let me find. .com.
It's just emilyrinna.com.
Yeah.
Super easy. Oh, I should totally make a website as well. Yours looks pretty slick. Is that
awesome.
A template that you took from somewhere, or?
Yeah.
So you've been working at Frontier Development on the Elite Dangerous. So you've been working at Frontier?
Yeah, I'm working at Frontier right now on Elite Dangerous.
Sweet.
For 8 months now.
Excellent.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
What sort of role are you doing there?
What's up? Sorry.
What sort of role do you have there? What are you mainly working on?
Right now we are concepting for the next updates and for the game. I don't know if any of you play the game Elite Dangerous.
I haven't. No.
Okay, so basically it's just it's a sci-fi video games and MMO where you can fly spaceships all around the universe. It's generally procedurally generated. Sorry, and yeah, we're 5 or 6 I think in the concept team, working on different sci-fi related stuff. Obviously, space stations. I don't know how much I can tell about what we're doing. So
yeah,
you heard it here first.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got the website here open. It looks really slick.
Yeah, no, it looks.
It kind of reminds me of EVE Online, but then again, I am not super familiar with how many spaceship games are out there. But I guess there's a lot of flying around and fighting each other in space, and as well as actually fighting people on planets, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Since the last extension that have been released, I think in last December, you can land on planet now and drive those little buggies that you can see on the screen, those little vehicles.
Yeah.
So you can better explore the universe and the planets and everything, because there are big settlements and new quests and everything. So yeah, That's great.
That is really
Oh,
cool.
awesome.
And your specialty is like hard surface stuff, right? If I look at your website here, you got a lot of machinery and props and
Yeah, it's not really a choice actually, but I really enjoyed it. It's just because my first job um, was on a similar kind of game as Elite Dangerous, and we had to do lots of different props because you in the game you're able to build your own ships, spaceship, sorry, from scratch by with voxels, and you can add different modules. So yeah, I've been designing that, and that's how I get into hard surface and everything. Because before that, I knew nothing about it. So I learned a lot. So yeah, what's your watching now on what you can see now on my portfolio is quite old now. It's been 2 years, I think.
oh yeah.
So yeah, that was my first concept.
Sweet.
So
That's so cool.
I can't wait to update it with new stuff because so far everything I've done in between are still under NDA. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I don't think I have anything in the past 5 years from any game I worked on in that time that I can show. See, after 5 years, I still
5 years.
cannot show
Wow.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so horrible.
Yeah. I might not ever be able to show anything. Well, that's sort of part of it. A little bit sad, but it happens. I see you got personal work as well, where you do more environmental stuff. Is that something you want to venture more into, like stuff like plants as well?
Yeah, that's quite old as well. Oh my god, I should practice more. Yeah, I try to practice on different stuff. I don't get to do that kind of stuff a lot at work for the moment. So yeah, I'm trying to explore different things,
That's
trying to
cool.
get
And
better at it.
you're gonna do
Nice.
a demo at industry workshops, I hear. That's gonna be cool. So you have any idea what you want to be demoing, or are you still gonna figure it
Um,
out?
yes and no. Still have to, yeah, to make up my mind.
You still got time for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I hesitate a bit between environments or props. I know that most people are doing characters or environments and everything, or creatures. Yeah, I want to give a go to props design. Could be fun.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, the
Because
demo room's quite sort of chill, really. You can just work on their own stuff in there, and people will come and talk to you and sort of ask what they're doing, and you can kind of do little demos of smaller parts of the work you're working on. It's actually quite a nice atmosphere. People just come and hang out while you're working.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, there's gonna be more than one demo room, right?
No, it's going to be one room, but there's going to be multiple demos.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
will be,
looking forward to that.
which
I
will be
might want to
awesome.
do a demo too, but you've got open demo spaces as well as scheduled ones. Like,
Yeah, there's going to be demo spaces for people that are doing lectures as well.
cool.
It's actually quite nice, just way of unwinding,
Yeah.
just get on and do what you'd normally do, but with other people around.
Now you had this really cool idea before we started streaming about that all three of us pick an image online that we really, really like, and we just show it to one another and just hype it a little bit, I guess, just explain what we like about it. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to do that later?
Yeah, no, I'm down for that.
Right.
I'm down for that.
What image did you have?
do that.
Who's going to go first?
Alex, you go first.
All right.
And then
Yeah.
Emily, and then me.
Let me share my screen. I do know how to do this. Come on, Alex.
You
can-
were sharing your screen.
Okay. Oh, no, different screen.
Oh yeah, you got 3 screens.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is by Vladimir Krasetsky, and this was an image that got passed around the office about 18 months ago. I think Dan found it online.
Yeah.
And we all had it as our sort of desktop background for obvious reasons. First of all, just because it was a really great image, like lovely composition, great colors, like the drapery was just amazing. But then because we all had it as our background, like, and we're looking at it every day, we started to notice that there was more going on to this than, just a nice image.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at all the robots on the left of the image here, they've all got some sort of 0-1 insignia. So this guy's got like his rosary beads that are 0-1. So is this guy's got it on him. This guy's holding a 0-1. They've got a 0-1 sort of banner. And then it becomes obvious of this sort of like religious context of these robots.
Oh yeah,
Being
their origin.
0-1 being their sort of binary code.
Yeah.
And that this guy has found 0-2. And that these guys are sort of either kind of devastated or they're sort of denouncing 0-1 and now thinking about 0-2. But I guess the other sort of underlying story is that if you look around the world, there's sort of evidence that it might have been kind of like a human civilization. We've got these buildings up here, got this sort of telegraph pole that was once here.
Yeah.
And this trash could really just be like a bit of trash, like a painted race car door.
Yeah.
That's got 0-2, and the robots have found it in the context of their religion. It means something.
That is
But
so cool.
it could just be junk. So it's just like few layered story going on here, sort of done in the style of maybe like an Alphonse Mucha, like one of his paintings. Like the Tsar Epic has a lot of these colors in it.
That is
So
so
it's
cool.
just a really interesting image that we didn't all get the story for straight away, and then when we did, it's like.
That's a really cool one.
Yeah.
Where do I find it? Can you drop the link in the Industry Workshops chat on Twitch?
Yeah,
I need to like it
Chat
and
right now.
see what other stuff this guy has.
Yeah, he's got a few others. But yeah, there you go. That's that. I'll drop it in the chat now.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the image.
All right. Like.
So just wait. All right. Have you got an image ready, Emily?
Yeah. Actually, it's multiple images.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, not this one. So it's from Frédéric Ogis. It's a French concept artist right now working at I don't remember Dotnod Studio in Paris. I really like this guy and those concepts. I'm showing this because I think it's pretty much not because of him, but I got really inspired by his work when I was doing my internship in my first studio, because I like the way he designs and paint,
Oh wow.
and also
a
how he
hospital bed.
presents his concepts. It's very clear with lots of informations,
Yeah.
and the way he presents his concepts really helps selling the
Yeah,
ideas.
that's real cool.
And also I wanted to show that because this is also a reality of concept art. I mean, we see a lot of beautiful pictures, environments, and characters and everything. which sometimes looks like illustrations, but there are also those kind of things that you have to do at some point. Well, it depends where and on what you're working,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you're working in a studio, in a video game studio, you probably have to do that kind of thing at some point.
Yes.
So yeah, I think this guy is really great inspiration for people who like this kind of stuff,
Oh yeah.
but also for a lot of different things. Yeah, I think you can have a look at this
Yeah, no,
profile.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really solid.
I don't know
Like,
if you knew this guy before or
No,
not.
no, this is incredible. I wish I knew. I remember I had to do a hospital bed for a game recently and other hospital equipment, and I was so bad at it. I had zero inspiration, and like I said, I'm so bad with hard surfaces as well. But if I saw this inspiration, I probably would have come up with like, oh yeah, it's cool if you design the wheels really nicely. You have to think of this and that. And now I was just focused on, I don't know, stupid things. Sometimes it's really good to look at other people's design just to see what those people thought of altering. So you don't
yeah,
have to copy them, you just have to think, oh yeah, they did something special with a lamp. Why don't I do something special with that lamp of the whole construction? Rather than using an everyday lamp that we all know.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
It's good
that's
to
beautiful work.
see sort of like look at something and see what someone's picked, like the main elements to change how the design comes through.
Yeah.
You know, like sort of how they've thought of things being used in a different way.
Yeah.
Cool. It's really cool. Yeah, but it, like you said, it is one of those things you have to consider. Like at some point, working in the studio, you're gonna do props or sort of
Oh yeah.
those sorts of things. It's a good thing to.
So it depends on the studio, right? Sometimes in
Yeah.
studios you're really stuck to just one type of thing, while other studios want you to do everything.
Yeah, like we have to do quite a number of different things just because it's like outsourced, you know. So
Yeah.
they don't just come to you for one thing.
But even
Sometimes
then, don't you have the whole like a sort of hierarchy in your studio where it's like, oh yeah, this guy usually does the cloth and that guy is mostly for props.
yeah. There's that. But sometimes you know you have to do something that you wouldn't normally do because you know say it's characters and we've got a couple of people that would normally do characters already doing stuff. You're
Yeah.
not just going to add it to their workload. You're gonna have to carry the flag for a bit. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Which is all good.
This is awesome. Emily,
Yeah,
can
it's so
you
good.
can you drop his website or his Tumblr into the Twitch chat by any chance? I don't know if you have the Twitch channel open.
I have, but I don't think I can post something because I don't have an account.
Oh, that's cool. I'll put it in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, it's just your URL, so.
On it.
Because I'm really intrigued by those characters as well. I want to see those.
Yeah, no, really cool.
Yeah, I've often found that the coolest concept artists are not even sharing their stuff online. So when you visit a new studio that you've never been to and you meet concept artists, you suddenly get this whole new world of awesome work and they just never show it. They don't have an art station, they don't show anything on Facebook. And it's just a shame because it feels like there's so much treasure hidden away from all our eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow, these characters of his, oh my god. I'm just gonna share my screen for a second, so. Yeah. Really cool.
Oh yeah, no, I have seen this guy's work before.
It's quite.
He's got like there's one concept where it's like a lady and she's got like a suit with loads of speakers. It's like a stereo.
Speakers.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
haven't
like
noticed that one yet.
yellow. thing. It's real good.
Yeah, this guy definitely has a solid understanding of shape language.
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool.
And you can really tell that he's enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah,
Oh,
nothing seems
um,
rushed.
no, yeah. And I particularly like the sketches he draws on his Moleskine, and then he paint over on Photoshop and give them depth and dynamism. That looks amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
it's really
yeah.
good, isn't it? There's another guy that does like really good sketches and then does them up in Photoshop. I've got him on ArtStation. I'll find him. Does a sort of a similar thing, but he's got a really awesome style and sort of kind of shape language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post them up.
You get that crushing feeling of being so overwhelmed and at the same time being super hyped and excited to paint yourself.
Yeah.
I see he does a lot of stuff for Remember Me.
Yeah, he has worked on this game.
I never actually played that.
No? It's
No,
good.
it was one of the ones that I sort of bookmarked to play and then just totally didn't.
It's visually stunning.
Yeah. It kind of went under the radar for a bit. I don't know why.
Um,
Oh, my image here is this one.
Hit us with it.
I'm gonna drop it in the chat as well. And I guess it's also just a personal taste and preference at the moment because I really love daytime pieces.
Ah, yeah, this one's so
And
good.
it's so beautiful. All the colors are perfect, all the details are perfect, the way of rendering, it's got this really nice, extremely realistic feel, and at the same time it's hyper fantasy. I mean, the little kid, maybe it's a teenager, is carrying a sword and he's got this mix of an ox and what would it be, like a hippo ox?
Yeah,
And you got these people in the distance. I wish I could do stuff like this because I think it's partially painted and partially photo bashed with a lot of mixer
Yeah.
brush. But
It's
even
really
then,
good.
he has a really solid understanding of light.
Yeah, I was looking at this the other day because he posted it in the Artist Journal,
Yeah,
and I'd never seen the image before. And I was looking at it, zoomed in, and it's so hard to tell like what's what. All the what I mean by that is like the bits that are painted, the bits that are maybe 3D, the bits that are maybe photo. They're all worked into such a good detail level.
yeah, nothing really stands out as being
Yes.
odd that way.
And I couldn't work out if like the animal was like 3D and painted over, or if it was photo, or no, it was really, really good.
I'm gonna ask him. I'm just gonna ask him. I started talking with him today earlier, so
I gotta know.
yeah, I need to know his secrets. Also, the detail ratio. Like, what my problem would be with using photos often is that a photo has a lot of crisp details, and if you then paint something, it doesn't have as much noise and detail. And you don't want to have noise all over. You want to have the contrast and the noise in your focal point, and he managed to do just that.
Yeah, it just really, really kept it real.
Yeah. The only
That is
thing that
amazing.
would have made this image more OP if it wasn't overcast light, but actual clouds and sun, which creates lots of shadows and light beams all over the place. And that's just the hardest thing to paint ever, to make that believable, because often you would think like, oh, where does this shadow come from? Well, it's a cloud, but we don't see it in the canvas, but there's an actual cloud.
Yeah, no, that's great.
He's
I was
got a
looking
lot
at
of,
that, and well, I was just getting quite upset, really.
I got to know him because of this image, which is also like, oh my god. And it's stylized as well. I mean, look at the character. It's, again, this perfect mix of realism and stylization.
Yeah, he's got that other one, There Will Be Courage.
There Will Be Courage?
Some Days There Are Courage, I think it's called.
Is that the newest one?
Possibly. It's in the same sort of series as.
Oh yeah, There Were Times of Courage. Yeah.
Times of Courage.
Oh my
that
god.
one is silly good.
I mean, how do you even come up with the fact that everything that happens in the image is just a little top part of it, and the rest is just leading up to that?
Yeah.
So bold.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the value separation of all the separate elements is like so crisp and clean, but just fits perfectly in the image. So
Yeah. Bah. Yeah, this guy, I think he works for Character, if I'm correct. You gotta be pretty good to work for that company.
yeah, that's like the new benchmark.
Yeah.
Really?
And he's got more of that stuff. It all looks like it could go straight into a movie.
Yeah, real pro.
This as well, I would be too afraid to make it too dark, but it works here.
Yeah, nice. Really got it going on.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, sweet. So good.
Star Wars.
I have an image here that I was sent just before the stream that I can put up on screen unless either of you want to paint over it.
Just show us. Maybe all three. We can just look at it and feedback in.
Okay. Let me open it. So this is an image I was sent from Lorenzo, and I can see him here in the chat.
I can see it in the chat or on your screen.
No, I've hang on, I'm going to open it.
Oh, we're waiting on Photoshop.
Okay.
Ooh, that light. So much orange.
Oh, can you see it?
Yeah.
Sweet. So there's this part, and then there's the sort of 3D block out, which I'll grab as well. If I leave this up for a second, you guys can have a look at what's going on. I'll grab the second bit.
Is it from Lorenzo?
Yes, it is.
Does he give a little bit of story with it, or?
Yeah, he's in the chat actually. So, Lorenzo, is there anything else you can tell us about this image in terms of the story, or specifically something you were going after that which can help us in critiquing this for you?
Yeah.
Said he rushed it today. It was impossible to work yesterday. Is there anything in terms of like story that you can tell us about the image? And this is like the 3D block out from SketchUp that I guess informs the image.
Oh, okay. Yeah. just to get the perspective right and stuff.
Okay. He said he's messing around with voodoo and African stuff, tribal flavor kind of thing.
Okay. What is the focal point for the image? Will that be the table in the front or the altar in the back? Or maybe a character between those two? Like you need to pick something that has the main focus, because right now we don't really know what to focus on, I think, because that's sort of all over the place, the focal point. What do you think, Emily?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think you need to. Sorry, I'm looking for my words. To help differentiate the different plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The foreground and background and the midground. It's quite. They're all quite. Sorry, I don't know how to say that.
I think I know what you're saying. Like there's very little difference between like the table, the floor, the table in the background. It's like it's hard to tell where one bit ends and another bit begins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you.
That's cool. It's right. We're on the same page. Yeah, I'd say initially that would be the focus. I'd say like when you see the 3D block out, I actually feel like the block out has a better composition than
Yeah, we're just
how
a little bit more zoomed out.
over. Yeah. I'll just sort of start painting in the.
But also in the 3D thing, it feels like the table in the front is much bigger. But because of the material and a knife on it, it looks smaller again, and therefore the perspective looks weird. So I would expect that object to be much bigger and therefore the knife a lot smaller on it.
Yeah, agreed. I think also I'm going to get rid of some of the saturation, like in the background, because presently, I'll show you, the whole image has the same sort of saturation. You know, if I was to pick a color like here, down in the foreground, you see this orange? You see how close it is to the right side of the color picker? And all these colors down this side are full saturation. So that's fine, like in our focal area over here, we've got lots of full saturation colors. But if I go over here, near the back of the image, I've got the same sort of range. And again, over here and over here. So what that's doing is instead of like drawing the eye with the saturation, it's creating just noise, like a sort of blanket noise. Because it's all saturated, there's nothing to draw the eye. So if I, like I do here, if I just drop the saturation of the rest of the background a little bit, do you see how already that now draws the focus A towards the table? But then if I mask a bit of it out here, brings the focus over to the back a little bit. You know, just like sort of stepping your values, you can also step your saturation to draw the eye to where you want the eye to be and sort of tell the story that way. Now, even without changing the composition and just messing with the saturation, this now reads a lot clearer.
Oh yeah.
I would say in the beginning, like your composition was a lot better in the block out, and the space feels more open, and I sort of understand it as having depth. I think by sort of zooming in and kind of messing with the perspective a bit, you've lost a bit of that space, and the composition sort of suffers from it that way. What would you say, guys?
No, I definitely agree. I also
Yeah, so
think that you need some more spot colors because now everything is very brown. Maybe introduce a hint of blue. I see a little crate thing in the left has a hint of blue somewhere. Bring it in other places. Like pick a few colors that you're gonna repeat for important places.
Yeah. That's cool. I think also where you're looking at sort of it having more sort of black magic feel than, because I guess the color scheme you've chosen at the moment is quite I guess sort of cheerful and vibrant. Whereas if you're going for voodoo, it tends to have sort of maybe a darker connotation to it.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, not have the saturation as much. For that reason, yeah, just think about just pulling up some ref really. A bit off. Yeah, nice one. I'm just going to see if we've got any more on the email for us to look over.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I'm just gonna work on my own image anyway.
Awesome. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, I can share my screen for a bit.
just last thing for Lorenzo
Mm-hmm.
is that that's why that when we're painting environments and we would like to show everything in the scene. So everything is detail as same amount of detail and everything, but you should like this cool skull on top right of the picture. Looks like it's before the table, so maybe you can bring it even more closer to the camera and to darken in it. Sorry, to have like just a silhouette, and by the silhouette you can tell what it is, so you don't need um, to paint it the way you painted it on your picture, and all the other elements on the scene can also be darkened, so you can so only the silhouette. Um, does it make sense? The silhouette of the elements will show what it is, and
Yeah.
will not because right now there is like noise everywhere, but you don't need that amount of noise. Sometimes just the silhouettes of things can talk better than something
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
super painted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't
So
need to detail it all.
So sorry for my bad English. I hope you understand.
Oh
no,
no,
that's
it's
perfectly fine.
yeah.
So yeah, there you go, Lorenzo. I hope that helps. But yeah, as always, like in the beginning, the composition is like key. Don't like rush into an image before you've got the composition down.
Yeah, that's why I always recommend people to not zoom in, always stay zoomed out, and work with big brushes in the beginning before you even touch the small ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so many times that the image will just fall apart for that reason, or it will be too confusing for someone to look at for too long, so they stop.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just to show you guys, this is a neat little trick that I do. Whenever I designed a character with flat colors, like this, actually without the background. So he's just designed like this, just really rough line art and some flat colors, nothing too dark or too light. It's just object color without any lighting information. I just work away the lines a little bit in some places, especially on the edges. And I just dropped in the background just to give myself a hint of where I want lighting to come from. And I like to present characters with two light angles. And I got a thing for rim lights, so usually I give it a really strong light coming from the back, but slightly on the side, creating only, see, one side that gets rim light. Then the rest gets shadow, and the other lamp pretty much comes from the opposite end. It's less strong, so instead of coming from our right low, it comes from the left top. But I still need to work in that lighting. But already, see, when I zoom out, you go from flat colors to something that looks way more 3D in just a few steps. So this is just a normal layer where I, with a soft brush, bring in some light. And the other one is a levels layer where I make stuff darker. Super simple stuff like that. But just remember, don't keep your shadows as just a darker version of its object color. So eventually you're gonna have to think of bounce light and the color of the light. So if I use a white light, that's fine. But if I use a softer light, I could use yellow. So make everything that's in the light side a little bit more yellow, and usually something that's in the shadow could go more purple or more blue. You can make your own choice. In this case, since my character is very blue, I can do a lot of blue in the shadows, especially if there's a piece of his clothing that does get a lot of light. If I do this for a second. No, I'm gonna do it differently. Haha, I'm gonna do blue. And then lighten. So yeah, if you get light from the top, and if this were to be super blue, I mean, this is gonna be really ugly right now. But that means that his shadow side of the face will get a lot of that blue in here. But that's all stuff I get to later. First, I'm just gonna make everything look 3D, and then I'm gonna think of bounce light and color reflection. And only the last bit is going to be material expression, where I'm gonna make leather look like leather and other fabrics look like cotton or.
No, that's cool. That's a good point, because I always jump in too early and get excited by trying to paint the textures. And then, no, it's true though, I do. And then at some point, I've got sort of no form but a good texture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's very disheartening.
I used to do that in the beginning as well, and then I figured I'm just going to do hundreds of characters which are just lines and flat colors. Sometimes even without lines.
I'll just start flat color.
Yeah, just to focus on the shapes and the pose and the personality and something. Because I really hate characters that don't do anything. They just stand and they have this stoic facial expression. Blah. I used to do them all the time. I can show an old version of this.
Yeah, go on.
Let's see if I find it. I think I even erased it out of anger.
I love looking at people's offers.
There we go. So this guy here in the middle was the first version of this guy on the left here. But he was just standing there with his arms all stiff and just looking at us.
Yeah.
Not very cool. And I started to put shadows in, it just looks terrible. And then 100 painted characters further, as I got better and better at designing and poses, I got that. And this is all over the span of 2.5 months.
Nice one.
Yeah. So this is just a fraction of stuff that I did. So many characters, and a lot of it is just trash, but you get to do a lot of trash before you get to better stuff.
That's practice out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite cool. That's for your own IP, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, hi, cat. My cat is being a creep. So, do you have an IP as well, Emily? Actually,
No, not yet.
not yet.
Maybe one day, but no, I think I still have to build my own universe and think about it before thinking about creating an entire IP.
Yeah. It's fun though.
Yeah, I guess. So, sorry, I don't really know a lot about it. So, would it be for a video game, for a short animation movie, for comic book. So can you tell us?
Yeah, it's gonna be for a novel. Do you recall that? Maybe you've never seen it, but in the 90s or 80s, there used to be a lot of books out there, not just for kids, but for grown-ups, that had a lot of illustrations. So you don't see that anymore nowadays when you buy a book for reading. It's just words. So I want to publish a book that has an illustration on every page, but the illustrations are not meant for kids. Because it's gonna be like Game of Thrones in the sense of brutal stuff and yeah. So that was my idea, but it's a really big project, and I've already spent 3 years on it, and it's gonna
Oh,
take a lot more time.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're going to spend your time on something, you may as well do your own thing, right?
yeah. I mean, after doing so many things for studios and clients, you get home and kind of just want to do your own thing. At least that's what I had, and that's how this project was born. Working on my own stuff, and it all seemed sort of coherent when I started to come up with stories. And then I figured out I know nothing about writing stories, so I started to educate myself on writing and so on.
No, that's cool.
yeah,
Good stuff.
nice.
Have you got anything that you are teaching yourself at the moment, Emily? Is there a new thing that you want to learn?
Actually, I just jumped into real 3D because before I was using SketchUp a lot to just have a rough block out for my concepts. But
Mhm.
around me at work, I have some amazing concept colleagues who are working on 3ds Max and sometimes on Keyshot and everything. So, and I can see that yeah, they're doing some great stuff with it, and that speed up so much the process. So right now I'm just trying to get used to 3ds Max and Keyshot to help, yeah, to
Yeah.
help with the pipeline.
Oh yeah.
So so yeah, that's just another experiment. I had a quick idea. Wanted to, so just like I said before, offline. Um, it's inspired by one of my trip in Rome, in Italy. I
Yeah.
wanted to design a prop that could reflect the the density of the ornaments in some churches I visited in Rome.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong; it's not inspired by this prop is not inspired by Roman architecture or decoration or anything, but it's just because of the um, m- um, it's mostly just the visual density of all the decorations in Italy. I don't know if you've ever been in Rome,
Oh yeah.
but compared to English or French churches, they are really um, dense. I don't know how to say that. Visually, it's just
It's very
mind blowing.
rich. Yeah.
Yeah, very rich. There is gold everywhere, statues and sculptures, paintings. It's super.
Mhm.
Sorry, I don't find the word to describe that, but it's very stunning. So when you're not used to that, it's a bit. Um,
It's very overwhelming, right?
yes, exactly. That's the word.
Yeah.
Thanks. So yeah, I wanted to design a console that you could find like in a super rich hotel. So right now it's just a sketch. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with those shapes and everything. So, but basically here there is a screen. Would be like an holographic screen, touch screen where you can interact with it and around are just decoration with those little what we call putties in.
Oh yeah, like cherubs,
Oh,
right?
sorry,
Like a cherub,
Char-
cherub, like a little, like an angel child,
yes, exactly. Yes,
little, little
yeah,
chubby wing kids.
exactly. Always laughing at people and everything.
Yeah, no,
So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I really like the sort of juxtaposition of the sort of technology with the like classical sculpture.
yeah, yeah. Thanks. That's the idea. I want to mix that with some cool modern sharp edges shapes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, let's see. Let's see how it goes. And I guess that it's also a bit inspired by this movie I've been watching, maybe for the film color, but Gods of Egypt as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Uh, yeah, I think that unconsciously it's also inspired by that.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of gold in that movie.
Yeah, yeah, gold and blue.
I haven't seen it yet. I hear it's not that great, but does it look
No,
amazing though?
no, actually, it's not. Excuse me. It's not super great, but well,
It's just like an intense action romp.
yeah, it's basically it's a Transformer movie in Egypt, and that's it. But I really wanted to watch it after looking at the matches concepts,
Yeah,
Yeah.
see how they did it in the movie. But yeah, I think that it's better to just stick to the concept.
no, I'd still watch it. I'm always interested to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, but sometimes that's all you need as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
How-
reason I watched the Warcraft film, just to watch what it looks like art wise. But then when I watched it, I was actually quite impressed with the story as well, and it made me watch it twice. I really like it.
It's wicked. How are you finding Keyshot, Emily?
Actually, it's great. It almost changed my life.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's so easy to. Well, I'm not a master of Keyshot, obviously, but it's so easy. It's just drag and drop things, and yeah, just
No, it's so good. I've only recently I've been using it for I don't know 22, 23 days now.
okay.
And yeah, it's just so good for like dropping even basic models into and getting renders and then being able to work over
Yeah,
those aliens that I've been doing every day. Like literally takes me like an hour and a half to do the whole thing start to finish. And I only spend about 10 minutes on Keyshot, just a few different renders out. It's so quick. And then you
Yeah.
can just chill in Photoshop and comp them all together. It's really, really good.
Oh,
that's
nice.
right.
Are there any good tutorials online on that?
For
To learn
Keyshot,
it? Yeah.
yeah, there's a few good ones searching on YouTube. To be honest, I learned everything from Jama's Learn Squared course.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, Keyshot is so simple. Like, I could show you in half an hour
Really?
how to use it. Yeah, honestly, it's
I'll
super
be
easy.
interested in that.
So it's like as easy as DAS, then?
Oh, like easier than that.
Easier than that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Right. Let's do it now.
Yes.
Oh,
I'll show you how to do it now. Let me close it down and I'll open it up and start again. This is where I'm going to completely fumble and be like, so you open Keyshot. All right. I better share my screen if we're going to do this. So, you see my screen? Got Keyshot
Yes. Yes, we got it on the channel too.
here? Okay. So I'll just open up like one of my aliens and I'll show you how easy it is to sort of set up a little scene and push renders out. Like when you open up Keyshot, you get this little screen. If you go just import model, and I will pick. Let me pick a simple one. I think this one is simple.
So you always need a model to start with.
Yeah, so that can be, so all mine are saved as OBJs. So for example, you could just grab like an OBJ from maybe the SketchUp warehouse. You can even search for like free OBJs online and just grab like a vehicle or anything. But if you're using 3D code, for example, you can export your models out as an OBJ. And if you've made it in different pieces, each one of those pieces you can assign a material to. So I'm just going to import that. Okay. So when it imports, you just get the model with the sort of default texture, which is kind of slightly shiny white material.
Yeah.
And you get this default environment.
And it does this pre-rendering thing, I see.
Yeah, so as you can see, like when I move it, it's all pixelated. But when I stop moving it, it's doing a real-time render of it. Okay. And the longer you leave this, like the more and more rendered it'll get.
Yeah.
And you can even just take print screens from this if you wanted to. But if you do the renders, you get some other options that you can use, which are great.
Yeah, because you can give it material properties, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll show you a couple of things here. You can choose, first of all, on the right here, this is your library on the left, sorry. And then on the right, you have your project. And these two have the same tabs, if you can see at the top. So you're like environment, backdrop, textures, and over here is material, environment, lighting, etc. They interact with each other. So, for example, if I'm on the materials and I just pick this, I can drag it and drop it onto this part of the model. Yeah, so fair enough. And drag this bit and drop it here.
But how can you tell like the helmet bits apart from the face bit?
So the model itself, I've got split into eyes, bust, and the hidden part of the bust, which is this top part.
Yeah.
And that's because I made it that way.
Okay, so it's just grouped. You created groups that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you just made everything all on one layer on 3D code, for example, and didn't split anything, it just come in as one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can scroll down the list here and you can choose whatever you want these materials to be. As you can see, like even in this sort of default lighting environment, everything looks pretty. One that I really like is this leather one because it's got nice texture to it. You see that in here. So that, say these were going to be the final materials that I wanted on here. I can then start thinking about like the lighting environment.
Yeah.
So if I go to environment on the left here, you get an option of interior, which are these HDRI images, which are already preloaded in. So if I drag one over and just drop it on the background, you'll see that this head is now in that environment. And you can load your own images in. So if you've got a backplate that you want the lighting from, you can drop these HDRI images in and it will light it as if it's in this environment.
Yeah.
So I can try this other one down here. You can see how that changes.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
So here we go. If I choose an outdoor one, this one's pretty nice. It will also get the reflections from this in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I just want the lighting, but I don't actually want like mountains and stuff in the background.
Yeah.
What I can do is on the right-hand side, if I go to my environment tab and I go background, at the moment it's set to lighting environment, which is this image. But I can change that to color and then I can select my color, so I'll just select black. And what you'll see here is that the object is still being lit by that picture, but the background is now black, so I don't see the picture.
Ah.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet. Also, you can edit these images. So if you click on HDRI editor, you can drop in. You can just drop in like another light. So you can set up your own custom ones, and you can change the color of the light and all sorts, which is really cool. And it's worth like messing around with the custom ones on there because I found some pretty nice things doing that. So that's that part of it.
That's
and
pretty
there's something,
sweet.
yeah, there's something else cool you can do. You can, okay, so if you go to Edit, Add Geometry, and Plane, what this has now done is brought in a very small plane into the image. So if I go on my scene here, right click the plane, click move, I can rescale this plane so that you can see it. And it's basically just like a ground plane, right? But you can use these to like block light sources. You can even set this to have its own material. And this is really cool. So if I make a plane, just put it as chrome black here, it acts as like a mirror.
Ah.
Yeah. But if I right click that, put edit material, and I turn the material to, and I go on its textures, and on the textures, and select noise, fractal. Oh, sorry, on the bump, select. So the bump map is just like a height map essentially that's applied. And it kind of mimics a texture, but it's not actually a texture.
Yeah.
That's my really shit way of explaining it. So that you can get like the effect of like waves on the water. So you can like make a terrain, for example, and then pull this up through it, and you'll get a really nice kind of wavy water effect. And that's taken like a minute.
Wow.
You can even just like render the water. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for showing that.
So yeah, let me, for example, if I open up something, file.
So how many jobs are lost because of this software now? How many people will get fired?
Okay, so I'm just opening up something with an environment. So this was a quick environment done in 3D code. And then I made one of those planes that you can see and just kind of pulled it up through the scenery. So if I turn the plane off, you can see it's just this like scenery. And all this scenery has applied to it is like an old bark texture. And then the same texture is applied as a bump map. And that gives it all this like extra topology that it didn't have. The model's quite simple. And then I made a plane and I pulled it like some way into the terrain from below, and that's created puddles. And then
You
again,
cheat!
pardon?
You cheat! Never paint. No. But that really helps if you got really epic ideas and you need to do it quickly. If you have this sort of stuff that's just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you know how to like do stuff like this, you start having more ideas. You know, because I'd see sort of on Java's lesson, you sort of do stuff like this. And then you start thinking, oh, right, damn, like I could do it with this, and I can use it like this, and I can do this.
Yeah.
So it's good at it. And this is just Keyshot itself. There's so much more you can do in it. But the basics is just like drag and drop. Just drag materials on, drag your environment on, and just play around with a load of sliders. There's no real complicated stuff to it. So, yeah, there you go. So there's like wade in the water and stuff. Pretty easy.
Oh, learned something new today.
Yeah, you can make rain. So
Really?
yeah, on 3D Coat you can just make like some random strokes, tiny little strokes in the air, and then bring them into KeyShot and like multiply them by each other. And then if you just render them all as having water texture, you've got rain that you can put in any perspective from any angle and drop in any image you want. And you've got this like perfect rain that you can then paint over.
Huh.
And really, really effective.
Rain, perfect rain.
Really effective. And that, you know, because it's in any orientation, like you can put that rain in any picture. Because you can just go back into KeyShot and get the right angle and do it again.
Right. That's great.
Crazy.
So now you've given us all the tools to take over the world.
Yeah, so I expect to see tons of wavy water
Yeah.
images from now on. Oh yeah, just got a question in the chat here. All the past broadcasts will, from now on, be available on Twitch, but also on the IW YouTube channel. So if you go to the highlights section after this, there will be this current stream, but if you want to, you can also watch it on YouTube if you just got a preference for that.
So they'll all be saved.
Oh,
That's good.
That's good. Yeah, Emily, that's looking real cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's see. Oh yeah.
It's looking real great.
I got this love for blue with gold as well.
Yeah, blue. Or is it white and gold?
Oh.
Blue, white, gold.
Do you remember that dress? I mean, it's not Scandal, but that dress. And
Oh God, yeah. I think I'm still convinced the dress was blue. Everybody told me, no, it's white.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I missed the point on that.
Yeah.
I think I saw two different photos. Has anyone in the chat got any questions for any of us? Put that out there. So, Emily, what would be your ideal project to work on?
Ideal.
Yeah.
Well, I need to think about it. It's really hard, you know, because well, I'm not being corporate, but I'm pretty good right now at Frontier. Elite is a very nice project to work on. There are so much things to do and to design to create, and so yeah, that's a tough question. Where of course there is great studios and great projects all over the world and I don't know. Maybe working on a less sci-fi and more fantasy project would be great, but I can't name any project I would like on to work on.
Yeah.
A Viking game would be amazing.
Oh yeah, Vikings. I love anything that's Viking themed.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you watch the TV show as well, or?
Yeah, I used to watch it. Is there any new season now?
Yeah. I think
Oh, so I need to
they
catch
sort of
that.
stopped mid-season. Or suddenly, I don't want to spoil it, but they stopped at mid-season. It's really confusing. But I don't know when they're gonna continue that.
Hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed um, the the seasons I've watched. The characters are playing very well. Obviously, the story. I mean, the general story is not. Well, it's quite expected, obviously, because it's based on historical facts.
Yeah.
And this character, what's the name of the main character already?
Ragnar.
Yes. So he really existed. That's thanks to him that the Vikings. Um, well, I think that's what I read, but that the Vikings were able to navigate seas and oceans.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so because of that, the general story is not is quite obvious, but the characters are playing really well, and they have some great personalities.
Yeah.
So that's what makes the show really cool to watch, I think.
I'll have to check it out. I've not
Yeah.
actually watched it.
I don't recommend anyone to look up these characters on Wikipedia though, because I did and I read a lot about them and now I know how all of them will end. It's like, no! I don't want to know this! They're gonna do this in the show. And now I know if it's gonna happen and when and how.
Yeah. So that's cool. I've got a question in the chat here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what would be the best way to get into the industry as a product designer? Move over to concept art entirely, or focus on the overlapping areas? I actually did product design at university, and that was where I first came across concept art uh, as even a thing. And I don't know, I think for me, I just went straight into trying to learn the skills that at the time I didn't have that I thought I could use in concept art. So I sort of went straight into learning Photoshop and started to try and apply my product design knowledge to, I guess, like a more character focused pipeline for me in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that, I guess, having a sort of design sense from doing that, I only really then had, I say only really, but I then just had to learn, I guess, the new thing that I was drawing, which was people. And sort of my skills already in design sort of helped me do that. So I'd say, I don't know, maybe if there's an area that you're into, an area that you like in concept art, whether that's characters or vehicles, then I guess start looking into what you need to do to improve your skill set to start doing those things. Would be how I think about it. What area of concept art are you thinking that you might want to do?
Yeah. Because it's important that you do what you love. Put in your portfolio what you love doing, as long as it's sellable that way. I mean, if you really love painting chickens all day, then it's gonna be really hard finding a job because there's not a lot of studios doing chickens. So try and discover something that can be used in the broad sense. So something like characters or something like vehicles and really learn a lot about that. So I think it's great to have a speciality as well as overall knowledge. So being able to do a lot of things moderately and one thing extremely good, that higher, like that gives you a better chance, I think.
Yeah, totally.
I agree with that.
And hey, Alicia's in chat. She's asking if I'm working on anything new. Oh, I got a lot of new pieces actually, but if I'm gonna open them all, it's gonna crash my computer. But right now, I just took one of my characters and started rendering. This was just a flat color one. Let me switch it off. So it was just this. And now I start doing that. Trying to figure out his face. I always like it when my characters don't have any dull faces. They need to be doing something. Like a facial expression needs to be going on.
Oh man, key shots. So good. Honestly, it's so fun just to muck around it, even if you're not going to do anything with the renders. It's
Just playing around with it, huh?
yeah, it's the best way to learn it. Although,
Yeah.
like, you know, I was doing this course and sort of learning things by seeing it. Like the best way is to just sort of open it up, and mess around with it. Same with 3D Code actually. If anyone's hesitant about it, just get it. Just download the trial, have a go. It's so easy, especially if you can already draw. The design process in it. It's just great. It's just fantastic. I'm going to end up being like a massive advocate for it. 100%. But also, like, a real good thing is the different render passes you can get out. So you can get they call it a clown pass, but essentially it like separates your model out into different flat colors, so that you can import it into Photoshop and then just use those as masks.
Oh.
And you can also do the same with the depth from the camera. So you can render out a depth pass, and then you can use the filter lens blur in Photoshop. Don't know if you've ever used that.
No, what is that?
So lens blur, if you have a depth map.
Oh, like Gaussian blur sort of thing. Yeah.
No.
No?
You know, like depth of field blur. Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had it, you like. So you can basically do that with your image. So you can use lens blur and like go from foreground to midground to background with just a slider and choose your focus. And it's just like focusing a camera lens. It looks amazing.
Sounds good. Can you show us?
Yeah, I can. Can. One sec, let me set that up. In the meantime, if you have a look in the Twitch chat, there's a portfolio here, and the same person that's asked the question about product design has a portfolio of work here to look at. With an idea of moving into concept art from product design.
Let's have a look. Oh, is that from Niels Korteling?
Yes, that's it.
Alright. So Niels Korteling said, I still work in product design, but I focus on visualizing stuff so I could develop more towards my interests. What are your interests? I think this looks really cool, actually. I like that these are sort of, are they? Yeah, so they're kind of like buttons to get to the original artwork. That is really cool. Okay, so it opens up to more. I think for the website, it could be clearer to show that it has more if the arrows are bigger. Otherwise, I would have thought there was only one image.
Yeah, I'd say for me, whenever I'm looking at portfolios, I think if the intention is to move into doing concept art, then just keep the portfolio focused to that. That's not to say you can't use your skills in graphic design and your 2D traditional skills there. But like try and make some new pieces that contain all of that. Like so maybe you design a vehicle that has like some of these stickers all over it. And then it's purely focused on concept art, but shows your other skills off. Because sometimes I think you could have a portfolio with this great sort of graphic stuff in, but it's not what you want to do. And then you get hired based on the portfolio because they're like, hey, we need a guy that can do this.
Yeah.
So I think make your portfolio contain the things that you would want to do in the job and do them as well as you can. And that will really help.
This is a really cool prop, by the way. What do you think, Emily, if you see my screen? Sure.
Yeah, I'm going through this. I really like it. Just yeah, I want to say that. See, for this one, knife, Wayland knife. You've done a cool presentation sheet. Yeah, of sheet. Sorry if I said the wrong word. It's really hard to differentiate. Um, so, so I like the presentations of some of your concepts, and it's really helps selling the picture. Sorry, my connection is a bit bad, so it's loading. But see, for those one, the sketches, I mean, you could definitely have a better presentation. Sometimes some sketches are really good when some drawing or sketches are really good when they are seen in a real small size. So if I were you, I would just have just one sheet with all of those concepts just on one page, because right now uh, um, I don't know if it makes sense, but it's not visually attractive just to see some just that like that. You could have a better presentation page with this prop
Yeah.
that is visually interesting, but just like that with I mean the to compare, this one is more interesting because there is the sketches aside, and the global image is so it's super hard to explain for me, but I mean, when you're showing your work, you have to think that um, um, you're not only showing the design of something, you're also creating a global picture that has to sell an idea, and the
Yeah.
presentation is super important.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Exactly that. So I think, yeah, I mean, overall,
that is super interesting.
Overall, I think you've got the presentation skills, and you've definitely got the skills here, and it looks like in 3D and traditionally. It's just I would make a more focused portfolio based on the things that you would want to do as a concept artist in the job. Show the skills like with that knife you've made there. Like those skills applied to a spaceship or an armor design or something that was more focused in the sort of game and film realm would be perfect. Which is awesome. But yeah, you got a load of stuff here. I think spend a month or so putting together some pieces that are more focused, and you'd have a good portfolio that you could start looking around for work with.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um,
What I always do as well is I do some research on companies where I would potentially want to work for, and then try and find what type of artists work there and what they show in their portfolio. Not everyone shows their portfolio, but usually from the some that you can find, try and be as good as them or even better. And I know that's a really hard task usually, but that is sort of the benchmark because often a lot of people think like, I don't even know if my portfolio is good enough. Well,
Yeah.
if you are comparable to those guys, then your portfolio is good enough.
yeah, definitely.
And if you have a hard time judging that thing for yourself, ask a friend that wouldn't lie to you. So ask someone who would be very honest.
I'll be your friend.
Yeah.
I won't lie to you. Cool. All right.
You have very interesting things in your portfolio. So that's great. I have a little tip for people who wants to get into the industry because I don't know if it's super known, but usually people tend to just apply to different studios, and it takes a lot of time to do all that stuff. But there are specialized agencies who are doing this kind of stuff that you can. It's all free for the applicants. You can connect with those people on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've ever heard about this, like creative personnel, or I don't know if I'm allowed to put some uh, name of some companies.
Uh,
Alex.
your sound is really soft, by the way. But Emily is explaining how you
Oh,
can
sorry.
connect to LinkedIn, right, with people.
Yeah, I mean, there are tons of different recruitment agencies specialized in video games. I think that's a good way to get into the industry without spending a lot of time applying to each
Mhm.
studios. Basically, you just get in touch with one, um, yeah, guy, a recruiter for a general recruitment agency which is working with different studios, and those guy uh, pr- um, notify you when they have an offer that meet your portfolio. And have you ever heard about these agencies?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot like Aardvark is one of them, right?
Oh, I don't know this one.
There are so many. Datascope, I think is one. But yeah, they're always really keen on getting people jobs as well because that's how they earn money. And you don't have to pay them, but the company will pay them a
Yes,
little bit.
exactly.
And they will stick their neck out for you. They will work really hard and chase phone calls and stuff. So all you do is just sit and relax while they sort things out.
Exactly.
And just watch that concept cash roll in.
And yeah, that's great and really easy because when I was looking for my new job after the end of my first contract, I didn't know that this kind of agencies existed, and I bumped into a guy on LinkedIn, and yeah, and then I tried to find others agencies like that. I contacted all of them, and every week I had like they proposed me like 3 or 4 different positions that all corresponded to my kind of work. And
Oh,
after that, and you have to do nothing. You just sit and relax and chill, just like you said. They're organizing everything, the interview, they're even they even negotiate your salary based on what you want and everything. You never have contact with the company, but if you're a newcomer, I mean, you don't need that if you're a pro, like already known in the industry and blah blah blah. But if you're a newcomer in the industry, that's I think the easiest way to land your first job.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Excellent. So I've got that thing set up. I was going to show you.
Cool.
With so basically, I'm sharing my screen now.
All right, let me switch to your screen.
This is the cool thing that you get out of KeyShot is you can render out different passes of your image. So for example, if you can see what I've got up here, I've got this kind of render of a kind of really dense, kind of swampy forest.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just me like playing around in 3D code, so the model's not very like high quality or anything. This was just trash. But one of the renders you can get out of this, so like you get this render, which is great, but you can see like there's so much noise, and like, how on earth are you going to separate all of this out with fog and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, there's a pass that you can render out in KeyShot that's called a clown pass, and essentially it does this. It turns the image into like rainbow vomit. It assigns every sort of structure in the picture a flat, bright color. So what you can do is then, if you go to that select color range and put that in selection, you can select out the different colors and make masks for all these parts of the image. So that makes it super easy when you've got a complicated model like this to sort of separate everything out and tweak the values so that you can have nice mists and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
But the other thing you can do, the other pass you get, is this one. And it will come into, and it's called depth pass. And it will come into Photoshop as an alpha channel. And it will just look like this, like black and white, with no information. But if you go to image, adjustments, and exposure, and turn the exposure down, you'll see that there's all this hidden detail in here. And so you can see, basically it assigns everything a different value of gray, depending on how close to the camera it is. So the things in the foreground, the closest things are the darkest, and the things in the background are the lightest. So now that you've got that, you copy that into your image as a new alpha channel. So you go to the channels tab, new, paste that in. So, and then I go back to my layers, and I'm like, cool, okay, nothing's happened here. If I go to filter, blur, and lens blur, I'll just bring this window over here. Can you see that window I just dragged in?
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure. Yeah, so I've dragged this window in. And what it's going to do is like search for a map. So if I click the source as alpha 1, which was the new channel that I made in channels, and I use this slider, which is blur focal distance. If you look at the image, as I slide this along, it focuses where the camera is looking based on that depth map. So let's say like I want to focus on this tree here. I can pull the slider to focus the image just there. So if you see, I've got it just here. So now the foreground's blurred and the background's blurred depending on the depth. And now the focus is in the midground. Or if I want it on the tree right here, that's in the foreground. I can drag this up, and it's now sharp here, and it gets progressively more blurred the further away you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, and this is ridiculous. So you can, make this scene, set your blur, and then use the clown pass to kind of start introducing mist and knocking areas back. And you can also use that channel as a layer mask. So you can say, like, use it over your image when you're putting in mist to like change where the mist is going to be. You can even like mess with the values of the depth map to like get different layers of mist, like you would do in an image like this. And that all comes for free out of Keyshot. You just check a little box and you get all those renders out.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's mental. It's blown my mind. I know that stuff's been around for years, but it's just all new to me.
Will we get demos about that stuff at industry workshops from people?
Yeah,
Or like talks.
I'm going to be showing all of this kind of stuff at industry workshops, and nice. I know that many others will be showing their awesome stuff. And that's going to be why the weekend's going to be so valuable, really.
Super
just
sweet.
So many tips and tricks. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to return that year being a master.
I've got one more portfolio for us to look at here before we wrap up. If I share the screen. So this is Connor from the chat. His portfolio. So if you can see that. Yeah, cool. So this is his. Can everyone see that?
Yeah. Connor wants to work for a games workshop.
Yeah, awesome. I would say, like, for me, the biggest thing that comes across in the way these images are put together is you've got a good idea of textures, but the overall form of the objects gets a little bit lost. What I mean by that is, like, your differentiation between, like, say, this being metal and this being rock, etc., reads fairly well, but the overall form of these objects is a little bit lost. You can't necessarily tell that this is kind of more cylindrical and like this is a flatter plane, etc. It's like the form's been lost for the details. And I used to do this, and still have to like check myself doing this, is I get so focused on like painting the details of something because I just enjoy spending time doing that. But when I zoom out, I find that I've lost the overall form of something. It's not cylindrical anymore. It's not spherical. It's not a cube. Or I end up losing it for that. And I think in the beginning, like the method that Suzanne was showing earlier, of having a flat color and then kind of modeling the form with the light and then painting the details, I think that would really be what pushes this work forward.
Yeah, I think
in
so
terms
too.
of the rendering. Because I think you've definitely got a good idea here on how to separate out and show different textures. But they're all sort of on slightly sort of flat, awkward looking sort of planes because the form doesn't read. That would be my sort of biggest critique looking at them in this way. I mean, other things are, you never stop looking at anatomy, you never stop trying to understand the things that you're attempting to draw, but I'd say form is the biggest one here. I'd say with this environment piece, straight away, like composition and use of values. You know, this value here is as dark as your foreground, and that this doesn't happen when you have a sort of distance to traverse outside, even if it's a very clear day and there's not any like mist or fog or anything. Like black will never be this black at a certain distance from you, because between where you are and where that is, there is atmosphere, there is air, there is moisture, there is the light refracting off of all of that.
Yeah.
So this will always be light. And you know, if I squint my eyes at this image, it becomes a sort of pattern of dark and light. I don't get depth. And you know, if this image's values were correctly laid out, when I squinted, I would see depth as well as a pattern of dark and light. Whereas this becomes a very sort of two-dimensional. And you know, I think there's a lot of overlapping elements to this composition which lead the eye around, but to no real payoff. You know, there's a lot of these lines that kind of are leading my eye around, but then there doesn't appear to be a sort of focal area or something for my eye to rest on. So it's constantly darting around. And that's to do with the composition as well as the value layout. I'd say study from photographs, or study from real life even better. Go outside and have a look at how, you know, the distance works outside, how light falls on things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think there's some nice collection of work you've got there. I push harder on working on those things.
A lot of that stuff is old though. You look at that, the last environment I see is about 2 years old.
Oh, real? Yeah. Then update that as well.
Yeah, you just have to produce a ton of work. That's usually key as well. Produce stuff all the time. Like I said earlier, you have to go through hundreds of shitty characters before something starts to look nice. And that's with everything.
Yeah. The best way to practice form is quite simple, actually. You don't need to do anything elaborate for this. If you get some, don't even need to get plasticine. If you can get 3 basic shapes, you can get a cylinder, a sphere, and a cube, and they can be any material, but I would suggest painting them a sort of matte kind of grey, just to make this exercise a little bit easier. And if you place those on a piece of white paper and light them from one direction with a lamp, so don't sit in a well-lit room, just have one lamp lighting that very basic collection of objects, and with a pencil, or do it on Photoshop, make the most accurate copy of those images as you possibly can. And what you'll find is, or what you'll learn, is that different forms will display different edges where they cross over into the light. So you'll find that the sphere is turning equally in every direction, and so the edge at which it turns into the light is fairly soft because its surface is constantly turning at a constant rate. Whereas on the cylinder, it will turn fairly consistently round the sort of round edge of itself, because it's turning slowly and consistently. But as you near the top, you get a corner, so that turns very sharp and you get a very hard edge. And then on the cube, for example, that will create very hard edges because the planes are just facing in different directions very harshly. And if you imagine that any object you're looking at is made up of a combination of those forms in one form or another, you'll start to realize that the edges that you make on your forms the edges that you make on these depict the form itself. So if you want to make something look smooth and round, then you need to have a softer edge where it meets the light. If you want something to be kind of sharp and angular, you need sharper edges and flat colored planes.
Yeah.
And it's that understanding of edge and form that means you can draw anything really. You can draw anything from your head, for example, because you're just following that formula. Because nothing's made up of anything more than that. It's just more elaborate versions of it. And that is an exercise that I did at the atelier where I was studying, and that becomes more elaborate where we end up sort of drawing faces and plaster casts and drawing from a live model. But essentially in the beginning you're just drawing those basic forms, and once you understand the idea, it's a bit of a revelation really. You can actually draw anything you want within reason. If you can figure out your edges within the picture, then you can figure out what it looks like.
Yeah. And that's the best feeling ever once that light bulb switches on and things. I love that.
Yeah. It's what you want. You want that eureka moment. And like, I know that sounds real simple, that exercise, but it is. And once you really get the point of it, once you understand what I just said about edges depicting the form itself, then you really won't have much trouble understanding how a more complicated form is reflecting the light the way it does. For example, on this render that I've got here, let's have a look. This form that rolls over this way, that my mouse is following, is, as we can see, like a slow turning, rounded form that's turning towards the light. And therefore this edge, this shadow edge here, where it turns and meets the light, is actually quite a soft gradient. You can only really see where the shadow starts if you squint your eyes. It's around here. But otherwise it's a very slow gradation towards the brightest point. And that tells our eye that this is a rounded object. Now, this here is also rounded, and that's why it's soft. But as this object gets more to being like the side of a cube, for example, with a flat plane on top and a flat plane on the side, do you see how this edge goes from like soft, and it gets harder and harder and harder until we get this real hard shot white highlight. And it's because this corner is the only bit of this form that is reflecting the light source directly, and this top plane is glancing away, and this side plane isn't facing the light, it's facing us.
I always call that stuff like, the peak of the curve that faces the light gets the most light.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you can see the difference here between this sharp edge and how it falls off as it gets rounder and rounder and rounder until we're here where it's really slow and round and soft. Now that is all the information our eye is using to tell us that this is a different shape to this. And once you understand that principle, you can shade anything. You can come up with the shape of something in your head and shade it correctly towards a light source based off of that alone. Then obviously other things you need to consider are like the reflectivity of the surface, etc. But in a basic sense, this is how form works, and this is the thing that you should study.
Yeah.
And I spent years doing that, but you don't have to. That's what I mean. It's just one thing that you have to learn. And then material quality. So like this material is more matte than this, and so the highlights are lighter on this sort of shiny, kind of painted metallic surface than they are on this more sort of matte surface. And this is because this surface doesn't reflect the light as much, so it's more diffused. And so if you were rendering your Warhammer, for example, and you wanted, metal versus worn metal, this is the sort of differentiation of values that you need on that. Saying, is it also worth me changing my workflow from going straight into painting with color and maybe starting in grayscale and coloring from there to make sure values and forms are more accurate?
Depends on what aspect you need to work on. Really, if you want to improve your values, you should start doing setting everything up in grayscale before going to color. If you need to improve your colors, you need to start with color before adding grayscale.
Yeah,
But then
I'd
again,
say,
if
yeah,
you have to do it for a client, of course you start with what's strongest. But if you want to learn and get better, then you pick the hardest thing and do that.
yeah, I'd say, or just tackle like one thing at a time. Generally, is a good way of looking at it. You know, like sort your values out first, and then worry about color and texture.
Yeah.
Values are the most important thing. Values are always going to be what make or breaks how something comes across, whether the light is believable, whether the texture is believable. You know, it's all going to be that. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit.
Yeah, we're
When
almost at the end of the stream as well, actually.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up in a few minutes. Cool.
So
Sorry, look,
let's see what Emily's image looks like at this point.
yeah, it's looking cool. I've got it open on another window here.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
really
Yeah,
nice.
I'm a bit slow, still trying to figure out some things, solve problems in my head before creating them.
Yeah, would that be sort of a wisdom you would give away to people? Like, don't just mindlessly render, but start figuring out how to solve things before continuing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, solve the things before. Really, when you're designing things, I won't say that I'm a super experienced designer, but actually, yeah, if you're trying to design some things, and even if you're just being figure out what, where, when, how, and because you can you start something without thinking about it, and then when you're at mid stage, you're like, oh my god, no, there's that's not working well, and it's just super annoying to do some reverse engineering.
Yeah.
It's the awful thing, the most awful thing ever, that just you just want to quit when you have this kind of problem. You just want to start again because it's yeah, you just spend so many hours doing your stuff and it's not working, and yeah. So yeah, think before doing stuff.
Oh yeah.
It helps a lot for yeah, for the next stage.
Yeah. It's kind of the concept artist way of doing things as well. We're mainly problem solvers and ID people rather than render people.
Yeah, definitely. That's great to if you can do both, but you really have to keep in mind that first is yeah, the concept, and think about solving those problems.
Yeah. So,
I just typed the worst sentence I've ever typed.
oh, what did you type?
I was trying to say, if you could see the stupid little keyboard, you would know how much trouble I have typing. I put, if you could see my stupid little A board, you would know the trouble spelt wrong. I have tipping.
What? That's even worse than how I type.
Nailed it.
How do you even, Alex?
I know, it's a good job. It's a good job I can draw a little bit, otherwise we'd be in trouble.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if anyone ever emails me and asks for help, if you can help me with the spelling, I'll help you out. In return.
I shouldn't be laughing about this because my typing is the worst. Sometimes it's not even words, like not a single word out of a whole sentence. But I expect people to understand what I'm saying. You better understand what I say.
You better.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that's about a wrap for us because we've got to make some dinner.
Yeah.
But Emily, thank you very much for coming on as a guest and showing us your work. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm super pleased to be there with you tonight. Sorry for all the English mistakes and everything. But yeah.
Oh, no,
Don't
not at
worry
all.
about that.
All good.
I'm looking forward to meeting you officially at industry workshops.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Looking forward to this event. Really.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And if anyone needs any more information, www.industryworkshops.co.uk. All the information is there. All the great artists are on there, and the event is going to be taking place from the 18th to the 21st of August this year, and it's going to be a really good one. It's going to be a lot bigger than the last couple of years as well. We got an awesome venue in Brick Lane, and there's a chance to meet lots of people that work in all different facets of the industry, and just come and talk to us, come and pick our brains, come and ask us questions, because it's a really great event for getting a leg up in the industry. I myself got a job from industry workshops, from just attending and then getting to speak to people and getting to know people from there. Ended up getting my job, and I know that's happened to a lot of other people as well.
We all want to be the next Alex.
Yeah,
be that lucky.
Post child.
Yeah.
And all that. You can see my happy face. Look, that's how happy I am. Super happy. No, please come down. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Last thing, if anybody wants any help or paintovers or just has any questions, please do email me at alex@industryworkshops.co.uk, and I can send pictures over to Suze if you had a question for her, or answer them myself, or whatever you want.
Yeah. Do you know who we have next as a guest in 2 weeks? Or is that a secret?
I'm going to say it's secret.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a secret. Yeah, it's a secret.
All right. So stay tuned, everyone. Hopefully catch you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Doing the intro as outro.